Ashland killer learned his fate today in a packed courtroom with a sea of purple honoring those victims' lives.
The family of Stacey Stanley Hicks is talking one day after an Ashland County jury found Great guilty on all charges.
If I cause any hate, bitterness, and then all of any of you, you can work on that.
God tells me to forgive you. And only because he said it, I'll forgive you.
Several times.
How would you assault?
In every way imaginable.
With Sean Great would end Stacey's life and forever change the lives of her sons, grandchildren, and many other family members.
Early life. Sean Terry Great and Teresa McFarland welcomed Michael Great into the world on August 8, 1960 in Marion, Ohio. According to reports, he lived a normal childhood, interacting with kids from the neighborhood and playing football and baseball in his backyard. In 1974, Terry and Teresa tied the knot. 2 children came from that marriage, Sean in 1976 and one in 1974. It was said that Great had difficulties in school and was held back for kindergarten and first grade as a result of his academic struggles.
Ashland killer learned his fate today in a packed courtroom with a sea of purple honoring those victims' lives.
Wanting to call my mom on the phone, or I still have her phone number on my phone and stuff, and I'd be trying to call it.
Were you working at Walmart on September 11th, 2016?
Sunday, yes.
Would be for you to come with me for about 5 minutes. Burn in hell.
You are evil.
One of Great's girlfriends from high school stated that he would lie on the couch for days at a time before returning to his normal behavior. However, a court psychiatrist described Great as kinda depressed kid and stated that his issue was caused by neglect and emotional detachment that he had experienced throughout his infancy. This was despite the fact that Great had a reputation for being a joyous youngster. On the 28th of June in the year 1994, Sean's father Terry was granted custody of both his son and his sibling. Having snatched his girlfriend's throat on November 24, 1994, he was hauled into custody for having committed the crime.
The family of Stacey Stanley Hicks is talking one day after an Ashland County jury found Great guilty on all charges.
I hope we could just move on from all this. I don't know exactly.
I had pulled on a door that the storm door was kind of tight. It was stuck on the frame.
I ask you maybe forgive me. Find in your heart someday. I know not today, someday.
Following his graduation from River Valley High School in 1995, on October 23, 1996, he and a juvenile accomplice broke into a home in Marion County with the goal of taking cash and jewels. The burglary took place on the same day. A felony burglary case was brought against Great in January 1997, and he was sentenced to 4 years in prison for the offense. Nevertheless, he was released sometime around the beginning of October of that same year. Trails. In 2016, a former Ohio police officer named Sean Great was charged with 23 charges of aggravated slaying and kidnapping. Rolf Whitney, who was representing him, pleaded not guilty to every allegation. In a press interview, Great admitted to 5 slayings. He subsequently entered a not guilty by reason of insanity plea. November 6, 2017 was the original date of his trial. However, it was postponed to April 9, 2018. Attorney Christopher R. Tunnell of Ashland County declared that he would pursue the ending penalty in light of the depraved actions and the gruesome evidence.
If I cause any hate, bitterness, and then all of any of you, you can work on that.
We will want to collect these after it's played. Just hand them down to the end.
Tonight, they want people to remember the way Stacey lived and not the punishment the killer will receive.
You took advantage of that woman and my mother like they were nothing. That doesn't make you a tough guy.
In addition, Great faces charges in connection with the 2006 slayings of his ex-girlfriends Candice Cunningham and Rebecca Lizzie in Richland County, as well as the 2007 discovery of Dana Nicole Lowry, a 23-year-old who passed away in Marion County. In a correspondence with WEWS reporter Megan Hickey, Great explained his intentions by citing government assistance, claiming that it captured the thoughts of his victims. Following Great's disclosure of the slayings to 2 news outlets while he was being held captive, the prosecution and defense teams jointly asked for and were granted a gag order that barred Great from speaking with the media going forward. After a competency hearing found Great competent to face trial, an assessment on January 17th, which was made public on March 6, concluded that Great was not insane when the offenses were committed. On April 7, 2017, Great's attorney then withdrew the not guilty by reason of insanity plea. On April 9, 2018, the jury selection phase of Great's trial for the Ashland offenses began, and he entered guilty pleas to 15 of the charges.
God tells me to forgive you. And only because he said it, I'll forgive you.
I'm sorry. I can't change nothing. Believe me, I would.
Several times.
How would you respond?
In every way imaginable.
Great was convicted on May 7 for the slayings of Elizabeth Griffith and Stacy Stanley. Great received an ending sentence on June 1. Following conviction, a September 13, 2018 execution date was originally scheduled. However, it was postponed while an appeal to the Ohio Supreme Court was pending. Great was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the slaying of Rebecca Lacey in 2019 and 17 years to life for the other crimes after entering a guilty plea to the slayings of Candace Cunningham and Lacey in 2019. Great entered a guilty plea to the slaying of Dana Lowry on September 11, 2019 and was given a life sentence without the possibility of parole plus an additional 16 years. It was reported on December 10, 2020 that Great's appeal against the ending penalty was unsuccessful and the Ohio Supreme Court upheld the sentence. On March 19, 2025, Great is supposed to be put to end after being moved to Lucasville. Victims. Renowned serial slayer Great was taken into custody after it was claimed that he had physically attacked Jane Doe. From the Ashland home, where Great had confined her to a bed and detained her for 3 days while molesting her, Doe made a 911 call. The Ashland police arrived and safely retrieved her. Great asserts that they were going to get married and that he had no intention of slaying her. In the summer of 2016, Doe had first encountered Great in the Ray and Joan Kroc Core Community Center of the Ashland Salvation Army. It was said that they had a platonic relationship and didn't share phone numbers. In order to get some clothing he had on hand, Great convinced Doe to accompany him on foot to the Ashland residence at 363 Covert Court on September 11, 2016. Doe came from the kitchen of the house and instead of being nice, he studied the Bible in Great's room.
I can't say I'm normal, but I know right from wrong.
At the time, I was leading the Detective Bureau in investigations.
She helped others and she made people happy.
That's the most important. Elizabeth, Stacy, and Lori.
Removing the Bible from her grasp, Great assured her that she would not be going anywhere. When Doe refused to comply with Great, he attacked and strangled her. Doe suffered from vaginal bleeding, head, bruising, and physical orifice trauma during the 3-day attack. In addition, Great was reported to have had a heart-shaped shave in her pubic hair, which was later removed after a forensic examiner for physical attack examined it. The week prior to Great's apprehension, Stacy Stanley, better known as Stacy Hicks, was listed as missing. The Ashland residence where Great was detained is where her body was discovered. Her ending by strangulation was determined by an autopsy. Richland County discovered Candace Cunningham lifeless, and Great's information led to a reopening of the investigation into Rebecca Lacey's demise. The DNA Doe project was able to identify Dana Lowry, a different woman who was discovered deceased in Marion County, Ohio in 2006 and went missing for 13 years in June 2019. The Confessions. In 2016, Sean Great, a serial slayer, was arrested and questioned by Detective Kim Mager of the Ashland Police Department. Great's confession revealed that 2 lifeless women were in the house where he was apprehended. The victims were identified as 29-year-old Elizabeth Griffith and 43-year-old Stacy Stanley. Former prosecutor Beth Cara said that Great preyed on vulnerable women, kidnapping them, physically abducting them, and tortured them before slaying them. Great made it look like he was going to help Stanley with her flat tire, but instead abducted and attacked her. Great made videos of himself physically attacking Stacy Stanley, which made powerful evidence. His half-sister Barbara A. Charter learned of Great's arrest on the news and tried to wrap her head around what drove him to slay.
With Sean Great would end Stacy's life and forever change the lives of her sons, grandchildren, and many other family members.
Did you know Lori Spillick?
I did. I do.
How do you know Lori?
I can't say I'm normal, but I know right from wrong.
Back in September of 2016, what were your duties?
She recalled her parents' divorce and growing up with a single mother who left her to take care of her siblings. Great had learning disabilities and started fires as a child. During Mager's interview, Great confessed to another slaying, choking a 29-year-old Candice Cunningham to demise. He took authorities to the wooded area where he dumped her body. When Charter learned about the third victim, she called her mother, Teresa McFarland, who left a message saying, "Lose my number and don't ever call me again." Great was charged with multiple slayings and the abduction of Jane Doe, whose testimony in the case was invaluable. He pleaded guilty to 15 of the charges, including robbery and kidnapping, but left the remaining 8 counts up to the jury. Great was found guilty on all accounts. That's all for this video, folks. See you next time.